What if everything you have been taught about reality is only a fragment of the truth? What if a forgotten figure from ancient Egypt held the keys to immortality, the mysteries of consciousness and the true nature of the universe? His name was Thoth, not merely a god, not merely a legend, but a force that exists beyond time itself. A guardian of knowledge so profound that his teachings were said to transcend even mortality. His fingerprints can be traced in the ancient mystery schools, in the foundations of Hermeticism, and woven through the hidden philosophies that continue to shape modern spirituality. Yet Thoth's most sacred teachings were never meant for the masses. The secrets of ascension, the true structure of reality, the universal laws that govern existence, these were concealed, hidden beneath layers of myth, distortion, and deliberate suppression. Why? Who benefits from humanity's ignorance? And more importantly, what happens when we finally reclaim the wisdom that was taken from us? To unravel the enigma of Thoth, we must journey back to the very beginning, the birth of a god unlike any other, in the vast tapestry of ancient mythology. Few figures shine as brightly or as mysteriously as Thoth. He was not merely worshipped as a deity, nor was he confined to legend. He was a force of nature, a cosmic architect who shaped the foundations of knowledge, time, and reality itself. In Egyptian cosmology, Thoth was revered as Jehuti, the divine scribe, keeper of celestial records, measurer of the heavens, recorder of the deeds of gods and men, and wielder of the keys to unseen forces that govern existence. He was the mind behind the universe's balance, the architect of language, the master of wisdom, and the silent guardian of hidden knowledge. Yet Thoth's influence did not end in the deserts of ancient Egypt. His essence re-emerged across the ages, under different names and forms, always guiding, always observing. Unlike many gods bound to the myths of their civilizations, Thoth was timeless. Legends say he witnessed the birth of the cosmos itself, present at creation's first spark. The Egyptians believed that without Thoth, the world would dissolve into chaos. For it was he who maintained the fabric of reality against the pull of disorder. Thoth was not just a god, he was the mind of the universe, the cosmic librarian preserving order in a world of ceaseless duality. His wisdom was unparalleled, and it was not a wisdom of speculation, it was a wisdom of power, capable of reshaping reality itself. In ancient art, Thoth is often depicted with the head of an ibis, symbolizing sharp intellect, clear perception, and a connection to the divine mysteries. The ibis, with its keen senses, reflected Thoth's attributes of observation, precision, and the relentless pursuit of hidden truths. At times, he also appeared in the form of a baboon, another sacred symbol tied to wisdom, the rhythms of the moon, and the deeper currents of esoteric knowledge. Yet even as his image became familiar through hieroglyphs and temple carvings, Thoth's true presence went far beyond statues and symbols. The ancients believed his knowledge was too powerful to be left unguarded. Thus, it was preserved in a way that only the truly prepared could access. He was said to have inscribed the ultimate secrets of existence into sacred writings, texts so potent that those who read them would either ascend into higher wisdom or be driven into madness, depending on their readiness. These writings, known as the Books of Thoth, were believed to contain nothing less than the very fabric of reality itself. Reality, the mysteries of life, death, and the paths to ascension. All of it hidden from the world buried. locked away not to be forgotten, but to prevent their misuse by those unprepared to wield such power. Yet even as empires rose and fell, as civilizations crumbled into dust, Thoth's wisdom endured. It flowed silently through the veins of time, bleeding into the mystery schools of Egypt, where only the most dedicated initiates were permitted glimpses of its fragments. His presence reappeared within Greek traditions, where he was woven into the identity of Hermes, giving birth to the legendary figure known as Hermes Trismegistus the Thrice, Great Hermes, a fusion not by accident, but by destiny. Both Thoth and Hermes were seen as divine messengers, traversing between the physical and spiritual realms, delivering cosmic truths to those bold enough to listen. The Kybalion, a text inspired by Hermetic thought, echoes Thoth's ancient principle, affirming the existence of immutable laws that govern the universe from behind the veil. But what if there were deeper truths never written? Truths too volatile for the masses still hidden out there? What if the true secrets of Thoth can only be accessed in the right way, by those who seek with a pure and focused heart? Some knowledge is too sacred, too transformative, to be thrown into the noise of public discourse. That is why new paths have been created for true seekers, for those who wish to dive deeper beyond the surface. An invitation to deeper exploration through places like Insight's Academy beckons for those whose spirit is ready to remember. Understand this: Thoth was never simply a scribe, a historian, or a wise old deity. He was and remains a force beyond time itself. His name may have changed through the ages, but his message has remained unwavering. Knowledge is power, but not all knowledge is meant for everyone. His teachings, encoded in sacred texts and secret traditions, point toward a deeper reality, one where consciousness is not merely awareness, but an active living force that shapes everything. What did Thoth truly comprehend about the mind, the universe, and the nature of existence? And why is it that those who seek his wisdom inevitably uncover far more than they ever anticipated? To answer that, we must approach the greatest mystery of all. The EmeraldTablets. The name itself hums with an air of power, mystery, and danger. Some say the tablets are myth, others believe they hold the sacred keys to ascension itself. Regardless of belief, what is written upon them possesses the potential to unravel everything we think we know about existence. The EmeraldTablets are not ordinary writings. They are said to be the direct inscriptions of Thoth himself, carved thousands of years ago, long before recorded history. But unlike any other ancient relic, the tablets are believed to be impervious to time, immune to decay, surviving the ravages of millennia untouched, as if they were never intended to be lost. Legend tells that Thoth, wielding knowledge far beyond human comprehension, engraved these truths onto a material unknown to this world. Neither metal nor stone, but something unbreakable, eternal. The purpose was clear: to preserve the ultimate truths, the mysteries of life, death, and the process of ascension. Yet even with their unparalleled power, the EmeraldTablets were never intended for the unworthy. Thoth, the eternal guardian of wisdom, understood that in the wrong hands, knowledge is not enlightenment, it is destruction. And so he hid them, locking them away, burying them beneath the sands of forgotten time, waiting for those who were truly ready. But who, truly, is worthy to uncover them? The contents of the EmeraldTablets speak not in riddles, but in revelations of cosmic laws, of unseen forces weaving the tapestry of existence, of the boundless power within the mind to shape, command, and even transcend reality itself. These ancient inscriptions unveil the primal principles of the universe, truths that echo through Hermeticism, alchemy, and even resonate with the most groundbreaking discoveries of modern quantum physics. Among these principles lies the legendary phrase, "As above, so below, as within, so without." A phrase so deceptively simple, yet it contains within it the blueprint of existence itself. It whispers that the macrocosm and the microcosm are mirrors, that the universe is not something outside of us, it is something within us, reflecting the very architecture of our thoughts, our feelings, our consciousness. And the tablets go further still. They unveil the grand illusion of time, revealing that past, present, and future are not rigid sequences, but layers existing simultaneously. They teach that those who master the hidden laws can move beyond the boundaries of time, stepping outside the linear prison most call life. Within these sacred writings lies the path of the soul, the journey of consciousness beyond death, the metamorphosis from mortal being into something far greater, a state of existence untethered from the physical plane. Some believe the knowledge hidden within the tablets forms the bedrock of all mystical traditions, from the pyramids of Egypt to the secret laboratories of medieval alchemists, to the modern understanding of energy, vibration, and frequency. Could it be that Thoth, the timeless architect, left behind not just wisdom, but an entire blueprint for human evolution, a guide not to survive in the world but to transcend it? And yet, despite the unimaginable power contained within these teachings, mainstream history barely whispers their name. They are dismissed as legend, relegated to the dusty corners of myth, treated as mere metaphor by those who fear their true implications. But why? Throughout history, those in power have always feared one thing: individuals who think for themselves, because true knowledge is true freedom. And the Emerald Tablets, if truly understood, would shatter the illusion of limitation, obliterate the cages of conformity, and reveal the divine creative power sleeping within each of us. They teach that we are not powerless, we are not bound by flesh, we are not prisoners of circumstance. We are cosmic creators, architects of reality, sovereign beings cloaked in temporary forms. Yet the mystery deepens even further. Some accounts claim the tablets were never truly lost, that they were hidden in plain sight, guarded and preserved by secret societies, mystery schools, and powerful elites, those who use this sacred knowledge for purposes the world was never meant to comprehend. Could it be that the secrets of manifestation, of energy control, of divine consciousness, have been fragmented and scattered across philosophies, waiting for seekers to piece them back together? And if so, what happens when the puzzle is finally solved? One thing is certain: Thoth did not leave his teachings to be forgotten. He encoded them not only into stone, but into the very fabric of existence itself. Those who seek, those who question, those who dare to peer beyond the veil are inevitably drawn back to these truths. Again and again, lifetime after lifetime. But ask yourself now, are you ready to see beyond the illusion? Because once the veil lifts, there is no turning back. And if the Emerald Tablets hold the keys to consciousness itself, what does that say about their creator? Who or what was Thoth truly? What unimaginable mastery did he possess over the mind, over thought, over the very power of awareness itself? To answer that, we must go deeper still into the greatest revelation of all, Thoth's mastery over consciousness and the shocking implications it holds for the nature of reality itself. He was not merely a god of writing. He was not just a chronicler of wisdom. He was the architect of consciousness. The ancients did not revere him as a scribe, they honored him as a master of reality, one who held the codes to existence itself. He knew how to mold it. But what truly did Thoth understand? What sacred knowledge did he possess, knowledge so potent that it has been fragmented, hidden, dismissed across the centuries, kept just out of reach? The answer may lie in the very essence of consciousness itself. Throughout history, mystics, philosophers, and scientists alike have struggled to define what consciousness truly is. Where does it come from? Is it a byproduct of the brain, as modern materialism claims, or is it something infinitely greater, something that exists independently of physical form? Today, science attempts to reduce consciousness to mere neural activity, a chemical storm inside the skull, but Thoth's teachings whisper of a radically different truth. He understood that consciousness is not trapped within the mind. It is not limited to the body. It is the fundamental force behind all reality itself. According to Thoth, reality is not something we passively move through. It is not a rigid structure built outside of us. Reality is a malleable, living field, an ocean of energy that bends, shifts, and transforms in response to the vibrations of our thoughts, our intentions, our awareness. We are not observers, we are co-creator. Thoth described the universe as a layered existence, different planes, each governed by its own laws, yet all interconnected through the bridge of consciousness. His ancient wisdom aligns eerily well with what quantum physics is only now beginning to glimpse, the idea that at the deepest level, reality behaves like a quantum field, sensitive to observation, responsive to awareness, where consciousness may be the hidden force shaping matter itself. If this is true, and Thoth insisted it was, then everything we think we know about reality is incomplete. We are not mere physical creatures wandering through a fixed universe. We are dynamic beings, architects of existence itself, capable of shaping the world around us with the invisible frequencies we emit. One of Thoth's greatest revelations was the illusion of time. He did not see time as a straight line, moving inevitably from past to future. He described it as cyclical, layered, a live something that could be bent, traversed, even transcended. If time is not linear, what then becomes of memory, of destiny, of the very structure of our lives? The EmeraldTablets speak of the halls of Amenti, a mystical plane beyond the confines of time, where past, present, and future exist simultaneously, interwoven into a single eternal moment. This vision mirrors the ancient concept of the Akashic records, an ethereal archive of all that has ever happened, is happening, and will happen. Could it be that Thoth accessed this field, that he understood how to step beyond time's illusion, to exist outside its river, to witness reality from a vantage point no ordinary human mind could grasp? His teachings also delve deep into the nature of vibration. He taught that everything matter, thought, emotion is simply energy vibrating at different frequencies. The only difference between the physical and the spiritual is the speed at which they vibrate. Those who master this understanding, those who learn to raise their frequency, gain access to realms beyond the physical, beyond the senses. They become bridges between worlds, navigators of hidden dimensions. This is why the ancients revered Thoth not merely as a god, but as a living portal between planes. He was a traveler across dimensions, a master of the seen and unseen, a being who knew that to master vibration is to master reality. And yet, if this knowledge is so fundamental, so transformative, why is it not known to all? Why are we still taught that we are small, powerless, insignificant in the face of a cold, mechanical universe? The answer is as unsettling as it is inevitable. A population that awakens to the true power of consciousness is a population that cannot be controlled. When individuals recognize that reality responds not to external force, but to the frequencies they embody, the old structures of manipulation and fear lose their grip. Authority based on domination crumbles. For no external power can command a soul that knows its own creative force. True sovereignty begins the moment one understands that mastery over the self is mastery over the field. A consciousness aware of its own infinite power cannot be controlled. If you truly knew that your thoughts shape your experience, that your mind is not confined by the limits imposed upon it, would you still accept the world as it is, or would you begin to reshape it? This is the forbidden knowledge, the truth that has been hidden, diluted, and systematically kept from the masses. It is why spiritual texts have been rewritten, why mysticism is branded as myth, why seekers of deeper truths are ridiculed, marginalized, mauled, and pushed to the fringes. And yet, despite every effort to suppress it, the wisdom of Thoth has never fully disappeared. It has survived in symbols etched into stone, in secret societies, in whispered teachings passed quietly from one initiate to the next, waiting for those with the courage to listen. But Thoth's mastery of consciousness did not end with thought and vibration. It went even deeper into the most profound mystery of all, the illusion of death. If consciousness is eternal, if it transcends the limits of the physical body, then what happens after we leave this world? Does Thoth's wisdom extend beyond life itself, into realms few dare even to imagine? The answer, once glimpsed, changes everything. For if Thoth possessed the knowledge of consciousness, time, and the hidden structure of reality, then it begs the ultimate question. Did he ever truly die? Or did he master the supreme secret, the ability to move beyond death, to exist outside the confines of physical form? For centuries, esoteric traditions have whispered astonishing claims that Thoth never ceased to exist, that he continued to walk among humanity, reincarnating throughout history, appearing in different forms, always returning when his wisdom was needed most. In Egyptian myth, Thoth was depicted as an immortal being, a presence who witnessed the dawn of creation and who would endure beyond the end of time itself. Unlike other gods who were born into divinity through lineage or worship, Thoth was self, created a force that emerged from beyond the material world itself. He was said to have recorded all knowledge, not only the histories of gods, but also the past, present, and future of humanity. And in the mystery schools of Egypt, it was believed that he had perfected the ability to leave his body at will, to travel between dimensions, and to return in different incarnations, always carrying fragments of his ancient wisdom. One of the most well-known incarnations linked to Thoth is Hermes Trismegistus, the legendary sage of the Hermetic tradition. When the Greeks encountered the profound depth of Egyptian wisdom, they recognized an undeniable resonance between Thoth and their own god Hermes, the divine messenger, the guide of souls, the bearer of esoteric knowledge. But Hermes Trismegistus was not merely a god in their eyes, he was a man, an enlightened being, a bridge between worlds, who penned the mystical Hermetic corpus, the foundation for the sacred arts of alchemy, astrology, and spiritual geometry. To the Hermetists, Hermes was Thoth reborn, continuing his divine mission under a new name in a new age. Yet Hermes Trismegistus was not the only face Thoth wore. Some traditions claim that Thoth's reincarnations extend even further, appearing again and again throughout different civilizations, assuming the forms of great teachers, visionaries, and philosophers. His essence can be traced in the legends of Enoch, the biblical patriarch who walked with God and was said to have ascended into heaven without tasting death. Others suggest Thoth's influence upon Pythagoras, whose mathematical revelations mirrored the sacred geometries hidden within Egyptian temples. Still others point to the ascended masters of ancient mystery schools, beings who possessed knowledge far beyond their time, whose words still carry the unmistakable echoes of Thoth's original wisdom. What if the greatest minds in history were not merely inspired by Thoth, but were Thoth himself returning, again and again, to guide humanity toward remembrance? Again and again, he returned to guide humanity from the shadows of forgetfulness into the light of remembrance. If this is true, the implications are staggering. It suggests that certain souls, those who attain a level of true enlightenment, can move through time, not like ordinary reincarnation where past lives are forgotten, but in full conscious awareness of their purpose. They carry forward the knowledge, the wisdom, and the memory of what they have already lived. This would explain why certain ancient texts describe ascension not as a vague spiritual metaphor, but as a literal transformation, a conscious shift where the physical body is left behind and the soul, free from the cycle of birth and death, moves into higher realms of existence. But if Thoth has indeed reincarnated countless times, if he has returned across the ages to guide humanity, then where is he now? Has he reappeared in modern times, cloaked under another identity, quietly observing, waiting for those who are ready to recognize him? Or has his wisdom been scattered like seeds, waiting for those with awakened hearts to gather the pieces and restore the forgotten whole? One thing is certain, his influence never truly disappeared. Thoth's teachings remained embedded in the esoteric traditions, hidden in plain sight, passed down silently through ages of seekers and initiates. And those who feel an inexplicable resonance with his mysteries, those who are drawn to the timeless echoes of his wisdom, may be far closer to uncovering the truth than they realize. Because Thoth's greatest revelation was not merely about cosmic laws or hidden sciences. It was about something far greater. What lies beyond this world? If his teachings are correct, then death itself is an illusion, and the journey of the soul is far vaster, more magnificent than we have ever been allowed to believe. But what exactly did Thoth truly know about the afterlife? How did he describe the process of transcendence, the passage beyond death? That is the next mystery we must unravel. If Thoth was more than a god, more than myth, more than memory, if he was, in truth, a force beyond time itself, then his understanding of death must be unlike anything we have been taught. The ancient Egyptians never saw death as an end. To them, it was a transition, a passageway into another state of being, a doorway through which the soul would either ascend into greater realms of light or be pulled back into the cycle of reincarnation to learn again what it had not yet mastered. And at the very center of this great cosmic understanding stood Thoth, the keeper of wisdom, the guide of souls, the sacred recorder of destinies. It was Thoth who, according to legend, inscribed the fate of each departed soul into the book of life. But was this merely mythology, or did Thoth leave behind something far greater, a hidden truth about what happens after we depart this physical world? The Egyptian Book of the Dead gives us glimpses. It describes the journey of the soul through the afterlife, the trials it must face, the tests it must endure. The most famous of these is the weighing of the heart. The deceased stands before Osiris, and their heart is placed on a scale, weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the symbol of divine truth and perfect balance. If the heart is light, unburdened by guilt or deception, the soul is allowed to ascend to higher realms. If the heart is heavy, weighed down by regret and dishonesty, the soul is devoured and must reincarnate into the physical world once more. But what is rarely spoken of is this: it was Thoth who recorded these judgments. He was not a passive observer. He was the one who inscribed the soul's fate into the eternal records, the one who understood more deeply than any other the hidden mechanics of how existence unfolds beyond the veil of mortality. And here the mystery deepens even further. In the EmeraldTablets, Thoth does not speak of death as a punishment or a finality, nor does he frame the afterlife in the simplistic terms of reward or damnation. Instead, he speaks of something much higher: transformation, the ability to transcend the cycle entirely, to break free from the wheel of reincarnation, not through external salvation, but through the conscious mastery of self. He describes the halls of Amenti, a mystical realm said to exist beneath the surface of the earth, a place where souls journey between incarnations. But he also speaks of the ancient masters, beings who have learned the supreme art not of dying, but of choosing when to leave the physical form and existing in a state of conscious immortality. These beings, according to Thoth, have learned to navigate the hidden currents of existence, to step between worlds, to travel the dimensions not as victims of fate, but as sovereign creators. The unseen forces of the universe were not meant to be distant mysteries. They were meant to be mastered, navigated, transcended. Thoth taught not merely wisdom, but something far greater: a system of knowledge that allows the soul to consciously command its journey through life, through death, and far beyond. And modern physics is beginning, ever so slowly, to confirm what ancient mystics have always known: that consciousness may not be a byproduct of the brain, that awareness itself may exist independently eternal, untethered to flesh and bone. For millennia, ancient spiritual traditions have spoken of this truth. They describe those who could leave their bodies, travel beyond the physical plane, and return wiser, freer, more aligned with the cosmic whole. If Thoth's teachings align with these truths, then death itself is no longer a final curtain. It is a shift, a movement from one vibrational state to another, determined not by chance but by the level of consciousness one has cultivated. It is no wonder, then, that secret societies throughout history, from the ancient mystery schools of Egypt to the esoteric orders of today, have obsessed over the teachings of Thoth. Because if consciousness truly exists beyond the body, then those who master it are no longer bound by the laws of the physical world. They are sovereign, they are free, and if such knowledge were ever to become widespread, the entire structure of fear, control, and obedience that governs this world would collapse overnight. Perhaps this is why so much of Thoth's wisdom was hidden, buried, and deliberately distorted. Because a population that knows it is eternal, limitless, and divine cannot be ruled. But Thoth hinted at something even deeper, something even more mysterious. He spoke not only of life after death, but of those who return, the guides, the guardians, the teachers, those souls who refuse to ascend fully until humanity is ready to remember. Those who choose to walk again among us, life after life, carrying fragments of ancient memory and ageless wisdom. Could it be that the greatest spiritual figures in human history, those who shook civilizations awake, those who illuminated the darkness with truth, were connected to Thoth's lineage? Were they tapping into the same ancient current of consciousness, the same hidden laws that he first recorded long ago? And if so, what does that mean for us? If Thoth was right, then we are not powerless. We are not victims of fate. We are participants in a divine game, a cosmic dance of remembrance and mastery. The keys have always been hidden within us. The codes to transcend the illusion have never truly been lost. And if we can reclaim this knowledge, if we can awaken to the truth buried beneath layers of fear and distortion, we may finally understand what Thoth knew all along: that life and death are but two sides of the same illusion. But if that illusion has been weaponized, used to enslave humanity in ignorance, then it begs a far more unsettling question. What else has been hidden? How much more of Thoth's wisdom has been buried, distorted, erased from the story of our world? The answer, if we are brave enough to seek it, may be more shocking than we ever imagined. Because if Thoth understood the true nature of consciousness, if he grasped the secrets of time, of matter, of existence itself, then we must ask, why was his knowledge sealed away? Why were his teachings that once shaped the foundations of entire civilizations dismissed as legend, buried under myth, or ignored altogether? The deeper we peer into the hidden corridors of history, the clearer it becomes. Thoth's knowledge was never meant for the masses. It was preserved in symbols, hidden within sacred architecture, encrypted in sacred texts, whispered from master to initiate across the chasm of centuries. But who decided it must be so? Who deemed that only the few should access the truth? And more importantly, what happens now, in this age when so many souls are awakening, and the veils that once hid this knowledge begin to fall? Throughout history, the pattern repeats. Great knowledge is never handed freely to the masses. It is hidden, guarded, preserved only for the few who are willing to seek, to question, to awaken. The ancient Egyptians veiled their mysteries within temples, opening them only to the truly initiated. The Greeks transformed Thoth into Hermes Trismegistus, encoding his wisdom in the Hermetic texts accessible only to those with the eyes to see and the heart to understand. In the Middle Ages, alchemists and mystics shrouded Thoth's teachings in allegories, disguising the truth in symbols and riddles so that it could not be easily distorted by the unworthy. And even today, traces of Thoth's knowledge remain hidden in plain sight, woven into philosophy, quantum physics, and esoteric traditions that whisper the same eternal truths. But why? If this knowledge has the power to enlighten humanity, to free us from the illusion of limitation, why has it been so systematically buried, diluted, and ridiculed? The answer is devastating in its simplicity. True wisdom is dangerous to those who seek control. If humanity remembered that power is internal, that each individual is a creator of reality, that consciousness itself shapes existence, then the entire structure that governs this world would collapse. Religious institutions, political systems, financial empires, all of them are built on the illusion that authority lies outside of you, that salvation must be granted, that freedom must be earned through obedience. But Thoth's teachings shatter that illusion. They reveal the most forbidden truth. Divinity is not separate from you, it lives within you. Consider the EmeraldTablets, a text that speaks not only of the hidden laws of the universe, but of the keys to transcending the material world itself. If these tablets were mere mythology, if they were simply the relics of a primitive imagination, why do secret societies, occultists, and elite circles still reference them today? Why have scholars, philosophers, and alchemists devoted their lives to unraveling their mysteries? Could it be that the fragments we hold are just echoes of something far larger? Something deliberately obscured piece by piece by those who understood its power. There are whispers, ancient, unsettling whispers, that entire passages from the tablets were removed, that the full knowledge of Thoth was hidden from public access, reserved only for those deemed worthy. And there is an even darker possibility, that Thoth's wisdom was never lost, but weaponized, used not to liberate humanity, but to control it, twisted to serve those who understood its power and sought to keep that power for themselves. If this is true, then the greatest secret is not merely that Thoth's knowledge survived, but that it has been used against us. But here lies the deeper, indestructible truth. Thoth's wisdom can never be erased. It has survived for thousands of years, resurfacing in countless forms, waiting, always waiting, for those with the courage to see beyond the illusion. The question is no longer whether the knowledge exists. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you dismiss it? Push it aside as myth, superstition, or fantasy? Or will you look deeper beyond the comfortable lies you've been fed, beyond the walls erected to keep you asleep? Will you seek the wisdom that was deliberately kept from you? Because once you start down this path, there is no turning back. The illusion begins to crumble, and in its place, something far more powerful emerges, a reality shaped not by external forces, but by the awakened soul within you. Thoth's teachings were never merely about knowledge. They were about transformation, about breaking the invisible chains, about reclaiming the divine sovereignty that has always been yours. But knowledge alone is not enough. Awakening is only the first step. The real question, the only question that matters, is this: how will you use this knowledge? How will you live it? Because when more and more souls remember what was once forgotten, the world itself begins to shift. Reality reconfigures around the awakened. The time of forgetting is over. The age of awakening has begun, and Thoth's call is sounding once again. The wisdom long hidden is finally being remembered. But understand this: the journey doesn't end here. Uncovering what was lost is only the beginning. Now a far more important question arises. How will you use this knowledge to truly awaken? And more critically, how do you break free from the forces that have kept it hidden for so long? Because knowledge alone is not enough. You can uncover ancient truths, decode sacred wisdom, and glimpse beyond the illusions of this world, but if you do not apply it, if you do not let it transform the way you think, perceive, and act, then it remains just that: information. Powerful. Yes, but powerless in your hands. Thoth did not preserve his teachings for passive observation. He left behind a blueprint, a sacred map for those willing to awaken, for those ready to step beyond the limitations that have been imposed upon them since birth. And now the question becomes, are you truly ready to use it? Thoth's teachings were never about accumulating knowledge for the mind's satisfaction. They were about penetrating the nature of reality so deeply that it changes everything. They were about inner revolution. He spoke of the mind not as a passive observer, but as the architect of existence, the shaper of worlds, the force that bends reality itself. The principle as above, so below, as within, so without is not poetic metaphor. It is a blueprint for how the universe functions. What happens within you is reflected without. What you think, feel, and believe shapes the very reality you experience. And this is why your consciousness is the most valuable, the most targeted, the most controlled force in existence. The system does not need to chain you physically when it has already chained you mentally. If it can control what you believe to be true, then it has already shaped the world you live in. This is why Thoth's wisdom is not merely historical intrigue. It is a living tool, a key to undoing the programming, to breaking the invisible chains placed upon your mind. His knowledge reveals you are not a passive participant in this reality. You are its creator. The limits you perceive, the obstacles you encounter, the very nature of your existence, they are the direct result of the vibrational patterns you sustain within your own consciousness. And if you truly understand this, then you can begin to change it. You can rewrite the reality you experience. But awakening is not easy. It demands everything from you. It requires unlearning the dismantling of false narratives, conditioned reactions, and deeply ingrained beliefs that have silently shaped your world. It demands stepping into the unknown, questioning not only what you have been taught, but why you ever believed it. Thoth's teachings guide the seeker through this process. But there is a single powerful obstacle that prevents most from ever taking the first step. Fear. Fear is the most potent tool of control ever created. It is the mechanism by which humanity is kept stagnant, the invisible hand that ensures even those who sense the truth will hesitate. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of stepping beyond what is deemed acceptable. But Thoth's wisdom cuts through this illusion like a blade through mist. He taught that fear is not a force to be fled from. It is a signal, a threshold marking the boundary between the world you know and the infinite world of what is possible. Those who recognize this, who refuse to let fear dictate their actions, are the ones who truly awaken. This is why Thoth's teachings were hidden, not because they were forbidden to you, but because the world was engineered to keep you from ever seeking them. Accessing this knowledge requires a shift in perception, an ability to see not with the conditioned mind but with the awakened soul. This is why the truth seekers are ridiculed, why the system mocks those who challenge it, why anyone who speaks of deeper realities is branded as delusional, because the moment you see through the illusion, the entire house of cards begins to tremble. Resistance always arises the moment you begin to awaken, because when you wake, the illusion starts to collapse. But hear this clearly. Knowledge alone will not break the cycle. It is action that dismantles control. It is practice that transforms wisdom into experience. It is one thing to understand that your consciousness shapes reality, and quite another to live as if that truth governs every breath you take. Ask yourself honestly, what thoughts do you entertain? What beliefs do you reinforce without question? What invisible limitations do you impose upon yourself each day? These are the real prisons, not the ones built by governments or institutions, but the ones silently constructed within the mind, the ones Thoth sought to help humanity escape. Yet even now, one question lingers. How will you use this knowledge? How will you take these ancient truths and apply them in a modern world designed to suppress them? How do you reclaim what has been hidden for so long? This is the next step, the final piece of the puzzle. Because awakening is not the end, it is only the beginning. The real challenge lies ahead, not in knowing the truth, but in living it. If you are truly ready, then it is time to act. It is time to break free and understand this. Knowledge without action is dead. It is nothing but dust words without life, potential left to rot. Thoth's wisdom was never meant to be passively observed. It was meant to be applied, lived, breathed into every moment of existence. He did not teach that reality is shaped by consciousness for the sake of philosophy. He taught it because he understood that you could wield it, that you could step beyond limitation and reclaim the true power hidden within your being. But the true question remains. Will you use it, or will you fall back into the comfortable illusion carefully built to contain you? The first step is this. Shift your perception of reality. You have been conditioned to believe that the external world is fixed, that what you see, touch, and experience is something separate from you, something beyond your influence. This illusion is what binds you. It makes you think you are at the mercy of unseen forces when the truth is, you are the one weaving the fabric of your experience. Thoth taught that reality does not exist independently of the observer. It is fluid, alive, shaped by frequency, intention, and consciousness. Once you realize this, everything changes. The limits you once believed were real begin to dissolve. Fate, suffering, powerlessness all crumble when you remember the truth. You are not a prisoner of circumstance. The second step, mastery of thought. Thought is not passive. It is the architect of existence. Every idea you entertain, every belief you cling to, every expectation you nurture, they are not idle, they are forces, sculpting the world around you with every heartbeat. The tragedy is that most people have already been using this power, but unconsciously directed by programming designed to keep them small, obedient, and powerless. Education, religion, media, all carefully crafted to shape your thoughts within invisible boundaries. But the moment you reclaim your mind, the moment you consciously choose what to believe, what to expect, what to create, you step into your true nature, not the created, but the creator. The third step, break the cycle of fear. Fear is the most potent mechanism of control ever devised. It is fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of stepping outside the accepted that keeps humanity docile. But Thoth taught, fear is an illusion, a distortion of perception, a lie meant to chain your infinite spirit to a finite existence. The moment you stop fearing the unknown, the moment you embrace uncertainty as the very gateway to expansion, you dismantle the single greatest tool of control. Those who refuse to be ruled by fear, they are the ones who truly break free. They are the ones who change the world. Thoth's wisdom was never reserved for the elite or the few. It was left for those who were ready not to know, but to act. Readiness is not a matter of intellect. It is a matter of courage, of will, of embodiment. You have been given the key. The only question left is, will you use them? Now the choice is yours. Will you continue to live as you have, shaped by illusions, confined by invisible limitations? Or will you take the next step to apply these principles to reshape reality itself? Because Thoth did not simply record knowledge for the sake of memory, he showed the way. And those who dare to walk it will never see the world the same again. But there is one final, pressing question left to answer. If all of this is true, if reality itself can be molded by consciousness, then what does that mean for the future? And what role will you play in shaping it? Everything changes the moment you understand the truth, when you finally pierce through the illusion, when you realize reality is not rigid, not absolute but fluid, responsive, and shaped by your very own consciousness. At that moment, you cannot go back. You begin to see the patterns, the constructs carefully designed to keep you blind, the invisible forces that have dictated your beliefs, your fears, your perceived limitations. And for the first time, you understand. You were never truly bound. The door was never locked. You only believed it was. Thoth's wisdom was never about building a religion, never about creating followers, and it was about transformation. It was a blueprint, a living key to the hidden mechanics of existence. Those who have discovered it, those who have studied the EmeraldTablets, the Hermetic principles, the mysteries woven silently through time, understand that awakening is not a moment, it is a process, and that process does not end with awareness. It begins there, because once you see the true nature of reality, you are faced with a choice. Will you step into your power, or will you turn away? Will you use this knowledge, or will you let it become just another forgotten curiosity? Knowing is not enough. The world is shaped by those who act. For centuries, humanity has been caught in endless cycles of forgetting and remembering, great knowledge rising, only to be buried once more, powerful teachings awakening minds, only to be diluted, distorted, or lost. But now, something is shifting. Something greater is stirring. What happens when enough people wake up? When the cycle is broken, when the ancient knowledge can no longer be hidden, when the illusions crumble under the relentless weight of truth. The future of consciousness is not set in stone. It is being created now, moment by moment, by those who choose to remember, by those who choose to act. The reality we live in is a mirror of the collective mind. The systems of control exist because enough people believe in them. The limitations of society persist because they are accepted without question. But just as the past was shaped by those who wielded hidden knowledge, the future will be shaped by those who reclaim it. This is what Thoth understood, that the mind is the true architect, that belief is the foundation of existence, that those who master their consciousness will master reality itself. But remember, this is not the end of the journey. If anything, it is only the beginning. There is still so much hidden, so much still waiting to be uncovered. Mysteries too vast, too powerful to be shared openly, but for those who seek. The doors will always appear. The knowledge is there, waiting, but it demands action, commitment, and the courage to step beyond what is considered possible. If you are ready to go deeper, if you feel the call stirring within you, then the next step is already before you. The deeper truths of Thoth's wisdom, the insights that cannot be fully explored here, are available for those willing to seek. Sign up now for Insights Academy through the link in the description. And for a limited time, Receive a free copy of the Kybalion, a text that has guided seekers across generations, a key to unlocking the hidden architecture of reality. The opportunity is here. The question is, will you take it? Because knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is freedom. And now, you hold the key. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment below saying, "I understood it." That alone already strengthens your intention in the field. And remember, your vibration today is the seed of your destiny tomorrow. What you emit now builds the world you will live in. Choose wisely.